My fellow countrymen of Southern Cameroons, welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. However, there are some sections of this video circulating on social media of Barrister Mbah raising a series of concerns regarding the excesses of the forces of law and order in Cameroon. As we analyze this video, do me a favor, click the subscribe button, share this with a friend and relative. That is your vote of confidence to say, I want to be actively involved in bringing about change. With that being said, let's dive into this analysis.
I would urge you to cease being official, because I cannot consider this presentation that I have been seized to open up an investigation or any interrogation of any lawyer. So once I am seized officially, I will therefore take the necessary procedure provided by law. As to the issues that have been said here, Your Excellency, I do not want to say that I want to impair the credibility of the figures that we give here, but it is my fervent wish that perhaps a mixed commission be put in place so that we work and give you the sources of our figures, because the figures that we will be giving you will not be a matter of there are 6 deaths here, or there were 9 here, there were 10 here. We will be giving you with names. We will be giving you with names, because I keep saying it, just like we say that some members of the bar, equally some members of your ministry, or not really your ministry, some elements of the forces of law and order go above board. Some go above board, and we must be able to say either it is wrong, whether it is a gendarme, whether it's a police, or whether it's a lawyer. There is nobody that is above the law. There's nobody. There are cases that we know, it's written, and I have been seized of.
Some said Barrister Mbah ambushed Minister Atanga. Now, this is what I want you to understand about this video. Barrister Mbah is a brave man. We can all attest to that. A few lawyers will sit before Minister Atanga and speak the way he did. Now, the first thing we have to establish is jurisdiction. He is speaking within the jurisdiction of Cameroon, because some from the Southern Cameroons said this man is a hypocrite, because a lot has been going on in Southern Cameroons and he hasn't said anything about that. What I want us to pay attention to when it comes to law is you have to establish jurisdiction. That is number one. Number two, not every lawyer can handle a case like that of Southern Cameroons. First, you have to be qualified. Number two, you have to be passionate about the cause and understand the story. Imagine Fongojin Dinka studied law in the UK and did not understand the legal gaps in the Southern Cameroons case. And there are many lawyers in our community that haven't understood this case for more than 65 years. So don't just blame Barrister Mbah for not standing up for Southern Cameroonians, because we are dealing with two issues here.
And said everybody who is admitted pursuant to the protest and all of that should be treated but should not be released. That they will come and collect the people thereafter. And that caused panic, and some people with wounds and all of that escaped from the hospital. Perhaps we were not informed. Your Excellency,
from his rhetoric, you can tell Barrister Mbah is a human rights lawyer within the jurisdiction of La République du Cameroon. So context is very important. He is not a lawyer that deals with statehood like Southern Cameroons. So human rights violation within La République's jurisdiction is treated differently from human rights violation in the Southern Cameroons or as a result of Ambazonia. That is why I made the distinction between the three different types of Southern Cameroonians to save time. Barrister Mbah as well as Minister Atanga Paul are all Cameroonians by learned acceptance. But one thing I want you to pick out of this video is how calm Minister Atanga Paul is when facts are being presented. The law will always win every time when done the right way. Beginning with understanding the story of Southern Cameroon. See how calm Minister Atanga Paul is when the evidence is before him. Because some think that, oh, because they arrest and lock up people, that means Southern Cameroon's claim is not valid. That is not true. Some say international law doesn't work. My question to you is, who told you so? A classic example is the case of Cameroon and Nigeria over Bakassi. I'm sure you all remember that case. Cameroon never went to war with Nigeria. Cameroon took Nigeria to the International Court of Justice and won that case. If Cameroon went to war with Nigeria, it would have been bloody. You all know that. The problem with the case in Southern Cameroons is people never took the time to study that case file well, frame it well, and file the petition that was required at the right court. We would have avoided the thousands of people that have lost their lives. So if Cameroon had gone to war with Nigeria, Cameroon would have struggled badly. Note that. Nigeria had a large population at that time and still do till today. A stronger military, more regional influence in Bakassi, just like La République du Cameroon has more administrative influence over Southern Cameroons as we speak. But Cameroon did not choose violence. That is the only sensible thing that Paul Biya has ever done. They respect law. But when you approach them with violence, you will always lose. And violence clouds you from thinking. So Cameroon did three things right. We have studied that case file well. First, they studied their case, the old treaties, maps, colonial records. This is what Cameroon did over Bakassi. That is even on our side. And here we are, picking up a cause like Ambazonia or Southern Cameroons, and we don't take the time to study our case files. What I still hear our people saying today is absurd after studying this case file. So, they studied the colonial records, the legal documents. Secondly, this is what Cameroon did. They stated the correct claim, not emotions, not speeches, but territorial sovereignty based on law. That is what Cameroon did. Third, they went to the right forum, the right jurisdiction. Our people went to the Bamenda High Court, they went to Banjul, they went to Abuja, not the right jurisdiction, with the right case. See how calm Atanga Paul is? This is how the government of Cameroon will be calm before the UN over this case. We all enjoy this, but at the end of the day, we say, no, we have to pick up the gun. Okay. So the International Court of Justice was the proper jurisdiction, nowhere else. They didn't go to the African Union. They didn't try to have the African Union to sit on the table, have Nigeria sit on the table, want to dialogue with Nigeria. No, that is not what Cameroon. This Francophone system did this. And we have the English heritage. English has run the world for 300 years, but we have gone everywhere else except spend time at the right jurisdiction, studying our case file. We haven't done that. So they went to the International Court of Justice, the only body with authority to decide such matter. I said this time again and again, so I'm here, and it comes out this way. You Southern Cameroons, still jump out there, Ambazonia. Just watch them. What happened? Cameroon won. Nigeria did not withdraw because it was happy. Nigeria withdrew because law creates obligation. Guns can occupy a land, but only law decides ownership. Imagine you go before the International Court of Justice to tell them that you went into a union with La République du Cameroon and the union failed, and now you are reclaiming your sovereignty. You go before the International Court to tell them that you gained your independence on October 1st, 1961, and there is no proof that that process was completed. Do you understand the ramifications of that? Do you know how they look at you? When they know that the independence was incomplete, the decolonization was incomplete, because there is no signed union treaty. That is the claim Ambazonia makes. We gained our independence in 1961 by joining La République du Cameroon. So what that ballot paper said, they automatically assume that created a union. And then they are looking at you. Are these people that will go on to follow proper documentation in building a country? Do you understand? It's like you met a woman, you guys were dating. You never, your parents saw you and everybody knew you in the family, but you never got married. And then you are going to court to claim that the marriage never worked. That is Ambazonia's claim.
And if you follow my lecture rightly, the country that has seceded from union is La République du Cameroon, which has seceded. They declared their secession on February the 4th, 1984. It is they who have seceded. And we say you must follow your secession to the logical conclusion by pulling out of Ambazonia, or we have to stage a liberation war. You're young men, and time has come for you people to pick up the gun and pursue this fight to a logical conclusion.
But that Bakassi case is a classic. It's a classic case. No violence, no war. But the problem was solved. One thing I want you to understand is violence always fails in the long run. It is historically proven time again and again and again. Violence always fails in the long run. When people refuse to pick up a book and choose to pick up a gun, they always fail in the long run. Violence may bring attention, but it also destroys legal credibility. It gives the stronger party justification. You give La Republic power. It scares away international support. That is what violence does. Most importantly, violence shifts the struggle to a battlefield where the weaker side almost loses. The weaker side almost loses. Law moves the struggle to a different field where evidence matters, where legitimacy matters, where power is restrained. That is what law does. And that is where disciplined people win. Do you understand? Now, power can control a territory. Pay attention to this. Law determines who has the right to it. Power can control a territory, but law determines who has the right to it. Cameroon did not outgun Nigeria because, my people, if violence really wins, I bet you Biafra would have been a country by now. Go study the history of Biafra. Close to 3 million people died until today. Biafra is not a country. Cameroon did not outgun Nigeria. Cameroon out-documented, out-argued, outlasted Nigeria. Some think speaking is easy. Communication is the hardest skill to master. Communication, effective communication, that you speak sequentially, persuasively. Communication is the hardest skill. After God even thought about creating this world, the next thing God did was he said, let there be. Some of you don't know. Thinking and speaking is the hardest work in this world. And I'll leave you with this, because some believe that effort is equal to a reward. My brother, you can be digging a hole for no good reason, and you will not be rewarded for digging that hole. Somebody digs another hole for a toilet and gets paid the wage of someone that digs a toilet. Someone digs another hole to mine diamond. They get paid differently for digging the same hole. Some dig it for a well, whatever the purpose is. Some might be digging that same hole to get a rat mole. And you dig and realize there is nothing in there. You cover the hole and then you move on. If God can change strategies, change his mind, what about you? What about you? Do you understand what I'm saying? That matters. So I want us to keep listening to this video, but I just wanted to draw your attention. I'm sure you've watched the video, but let's go ahead and watch some more.
Especially of a particular case in Douala where a man was shot, not at the brigade, not in the demonstration, but in the waters. Until this day, the wife is clamoring for the cops. She's not been able to. I sent a team to go to Douala. The team went, met the military state council, the commissaire gouvernement, and they requested that it should be a formal request. It was written. They went to the mortuary. The mortuary said no, it should be the director of the hospital. They went to the director of the hospital. The director said he was waiting for instructions from the hierarchy. I'm sure this has not been brought to your attention. There are many others like that.
So again, just from his language, I can tell he's a human rights lawyer within the jurisdiction of La République du Cameroon. You will get frustrated in this world if you see everyone that comes from Southern Cameroons as someone that should and must be for you or must stand for you. Again, for Africa, everybody with the skin color is my brother. My brother, I don't know where they come from. I don't know the country they come from. Just because they have black skin, they are my brother. Life doesn't work like that. And let people be. You can create all this animosity, anger in your heart, and maybe attack somebody like this because they don't want to stand with you. No, make a distinction, build a team, and then go on to pursue your cause. Not everybody will stand with you. Even in your own family, not everybody stands with you. In your own friend circle, not all your friends stand with you. Then you think this has to do with nationhood. Everybody will stand with you. You believe that? You see? Okay. Now, every legal issue has its proper forum, proper jurisdiction. There are places where you cannot play soccer or football. Before we play football, we need to look for a field. It all depends on the game. You know that the field where you go play your Ndakate, you know that Barcelona can never hold a game in that field. I'm sure you know that by now. So you have to ask yourself the question, what kind of game is this? So if you take a sovereignty question to a human right body, you weaken your case just by taking your case to the wrong lawyer to begin with. If you take an international status question like Southern Cameroons to a domestic politics, you go in circles. That is why we are hiring international lawyers, not some local lawyer in the community or some good lawyer. Not saying we don't have good lawyers in the community on this case. And that is why we have to pay good money. And the kind of lawyer that we choose matter. You can still find a good international lawyer, but it's not the good lawyer. So you go in circle. Serious movements win because they respect legal order, even when they are challenging power. That is how these nations that you see win cases in court stand out different because of their approach and because of strategy, not effort. We've been here, we've done this. That is not what wins. I know this is a hard pill for some to swallow because we reward how old you are in our community more than skill. That's why you can be really hitting a hammer like that. I mean, you see a patron, somebody that understands, somebody that has skill, not because of how long they have been there, but they know exactly what to do. And they come and they tell you, no, just put the hammer here and hit it, everything will be fine. And you do that and you're like, skill. That is what I'm doing with this work. Now, the courts do not respond to pain. He is speaking within the capacity of a human rights lawyer within the jurisdiction of La République du Cameroon. So he's explaining the circumstances surrounding the case. But courts do not respond to pain. They respond to questions. You see, he was factual in his approach. The reason why I brought up this video is to just show you that the biggest Mbah gang or the biggest Mbah group with AK-47s have never made Atanga report that calm. If there is anything you take out of this video, it should be that. Because our tone, our language, our energy tells me, the gun will bring Pobia to its knees. And trying to dialogue with Pobia, again, I told you, Yaoundé is not the jurisdiction to grant you independence. I see people saying this even on social media. Yaoundé is not the jurisdiction to grant you independence. The Bakassi case wasn't won because Nigeria gave La République du Cameroon or gave Cameroon Bakassi the International Court of Justice. We believe that if we've suffered, if they've treated us unfair, the world must hear us. But the real question is, what legal instrument was sovereignty transferred with? These are the questions we need to be asking. Where is the treaty? That is all I asked. What is the date, the parties, and the registration? And if you tell me an exchange of notes can substitute for a union treaty, that means you know that a union treaty is required. So we will look into that exchange of notes to find out if that actually substitutes for a union treaty. If not, we are demanding a union treaty. So there is a jurisdictional question on Southern Cameroons. And we are going to sort that out. We don't need boom, 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 boom. No, we will sort that out constructively, sequentially, like you see that lawyer presenting facts before the honorable minister. So if you don't ask the right legal question, you must know how to ask good questions. If not, you will suffer in this war. If you don't ask the right legal question, even a just cause is just by every standard that this individual is being violated, can lose. You can lose in this life, in this war. And it is justified that you lost because you didn't understand your problem. So winning legally is about precision, not volume, not slogans, not flags. Do you understand? I said, by the time we are done with this case will be studied across universities in law and political science for many to learn, for the world to learn, because we'll make the world a better place. Because the goal is to make Southern Cameroons safe for democracy, for trade, and for worship. With cutting-edge systems, we can't lose. And with great institutions, one single vision, we will build the first world nation rooted in principles, facts, structure, discipline, nothing else. I have observed all the great nations. What you see called military is how to protect what they have built. Not that they just say, oh, let's build military and then through military we'll get everything else. No, they build something. And then they raise the military to protect what they have built. Some of us want to get a military first before we go build. The question we all should be asking ourselves is, even if we had the independence, what kind of nation were you planning to build? Because that is even more important in the eyes of God than the freedom that you seek. Where are you taking our people to? Just freedom? Africa has been clamoring freedom since the 1950s. Nkrumah did, and today we still have third world nations across the continent of Africa. Where you're taking our people to is even more important. Because we can clamor for freedom and end up in bondage if we can't manage that freedom. And then we'll make up new stories as to how the reason why we can't make progress now is because of the 65 years we have been under the regime. There will be more stories to tell. Most of our roads and properties were destroyed during this crisis. So that is why we will have bad government. That is why things are not working out for us. That might be the next excuse. Have you thought of the excuses people will give? If at all we had the freedom and they can't manage Southern Cameroons, there are many excuses I know they will make. I'm already listing them out. And I'm writing more excuses that I know, even if we had that independence and people with poor management skills, poor leadership skills, the excuses they will make post-independence. That is why I talk about institutions being the foundation, the Southern Cameroons Civic Authority Framework. While we are going through this process, let's have some foundation that will set us up for success. Very important.
Southern Cameroons, crown of freedom, you have it. A first world nation in a third world continent, you have it. Put your mind to the process, cutting edge systems, you have it. With top tier strategy, I don't see us losing, you have it. With great institutions, one single vision, you have it. Make Africa stable for trade and worship, you